Hey guys, Matt here. It's the Broken Supercoach checking in again. Friday teams came out last night, but I figured, with the Thursday games, I feel like the Friday video is a bit better for these. So we'll just go through them. Obviously, the game last night, Porter a joke. They looked terrible. I don't think there was a lot really relevant there, so we probably won't go through the scores because I just don't think there's a lot of relevant players in either team. Maybe Bowie, obviously we've got, and then Oliver, but there's not a huge amount to look at through either of these teams. Oh, Gorn, of course. Gorn looks back, but price wise, I think Gorn was just too risky to keep. So we'll just have a look through the team. So there's really not any big revelations in this game. Same old Berry named on a wing if you persisted with him. That's one to watch. DeConning named in the back line. We're happy with that. Good bench option, making us some money. There's not really much else to look through here. Just trying to see any names here that might be interesting. Not really. Polak out. I know that he was popular injured. Surely you've flipped him by now. The big one is Dylan Stevens out. It's frustrating. We've gone from him being a must-have to out. So really frustrating there. Potentially he gets named the sub, which would be even worse considering his high break even if he has to come on. Heaney on a flank. What do you do with Stevens? I think if you don't have Martin, and I think that's the only one you can do. If you don't have Martin, you could still probably get him in now. But I think I'm just going to hold Stevens for now. I don't trust the West Coast players, so I think we just hold him. That will mean I have 2 zeros on my midfield, but I think he'll come back. He's good enough. He's shown that he's good enough. I think that's a message, but these are some big ins. It seems that McInerney has come in for him, so it means McInerney's a good player, so that's lost. That's a spot lost, so he will need to come in for someone like, there's really not much room for him, is there? If you look at these names, whether they're too tall, perhaps with Laddams, Buddy, Sam Reed. So potentially they're too tall, and maybe Stevens can fill in the forward somewhere. But I think he's stiff. He's stiff, and it's only because they're a very good team that he's missed out, and I don't mind that from Longmire. You have one bad game in his team, you're gone. So we'll see what happens. Potentially he gets named the sub, and he has to come on and score low. So touch wood that doesn't happen. I'd keep an eye on this sub news, obviously, because it's a good chance for a loop. Obviously, you're not going to loop. If you still had Gorn, you might even have be able to loop that score in. Perhaps you can loop in a score from here, Lockie Neal, perhaps use that. So, but be very mindful that Dylan Stevens is a high sub risk here. Not a lot named here. Like I said, Polak out. If you had him, Zeri at R1 seems to be quite normal. That's going to be their team. This team is shocking. Expect some big scores out of Sydney, which is frustrating because Stevens again. He probably scores an 80 or a 90 against this team, which is just trash. Hall put out a low score, so I think he's probably a buy target now. Pretty gutless picks from Noble, if I'm honest with you. There's nothing here that impresses me whatsoever. Like, this team is a terrible football team, and they continue to be. These guys are getting some... West Coast are getting some names back, which you got to be happy with if you're a West Coast fan. It's interesting to see Ho still named. It's interesting to see Naish still named. And I'd love to get some of these guys, but you just don't know. Are they, what is the best 22 of this team? And I think, honestly, it's too risky. Which is weird because we've got guys like Hayes who probably go in a week or two. And, we're happy to pick up guys like Skinner or Sin who were on the way out. We're holding Stevens, so it sounds weird, but you just don't know where these guys sit. Like, Dixon, Ho, Naish, Foley even. Are they Are they best 22 players, or are they just holding for some of these names? Petrocelli, SPS, Gaff. I think, is Shui still out of this team as well? Unless I'm blind. Yeah, Bailey Williams as well. There are some big names to come back to this team, and it's just hard to believe that a guy like Nash is going to hold that spot, but he's got a very nice break even. Not a lot through Collingwood either. Grundy at R1, Paddy Lipper named first follower, Chris named on the ball. I'll be done with him. I got no interest in seeing this bloke on the ball. Dacos named at halfback again, and Maynard in this position as well. I don't need to be seeing this, so I'll be done with Chris this week. He'll be the first traded. Couple of injuries for the Dogs. Nothing really. Tim English, love to get him. Bont on the ball. McRae named on the wing again is really something to watch, but I think we just have to commit to McRae. He's earned enough good stead with us that even if he has a couple of down weeks, there's nothing to panic about Jack McRae. He's the Supercoach GOAT for the last couple of years. I think you just have to ride with him, and most people have him. So it is what it is. Short side guy here. Nothing really huge to worry about here. Darcy back, so surely nobody has Darcy anymore. O'Driscoll named again, and I think potentially he's close to the bubble as well, so definitely one to think about. I don't mind it. Definitely one for the radar. Looked good. I want to watch this game actually, just to see how good. I don't think there's many guys that'll be pushing this spot. Erasmus, don't mind it. Will Brodie named on the ball. Really liking this. He's going to make us some seriously good money. Now, do I think he's a keeper in the forward line? Probably not, because you think when Fife and now Mundy come back, you think Brodie probably loses some of those point potentials. But in the meanwhile, he's currently in the best 6, if that makes sense, for the forward line. He's currently a must-have option, but I'd trade him in if you have someone like Rochelle and you don't have Brodie, or I'm trying to think of other guys you might have. Yeah, I'd consider trading Brodie in if you had Polek, perhaps. I think he's going to make enough money that it's worth doing that. Yeah, Darcy back. Yeah, that's normal. That's fine. Not a lot here to really discuss. These guys are good. A lot of people talk about Tom Green at the moment, named on the ball. Again, another, this team has a lot of outs. This is going to be one of those years, similar to, it wasn't Walsh because we traded Walsh in last year, Brayshaw last year, perhaps, similar to those guys, where you want to see a sustained body of work. Supercoach is really, and I know this year it hasn't been the case, but Supercoach is really, you want to see that reliability. You want to see that meta. You want to see a guy become a meta player. And yeah, if you hopped on Tom Green early, or if you hopped on it, or if you're getting him in now, that's cool. It's a big risk. It's too risky for me. Bruce at R1 again. I don't think it's good to get him early, but I think we'll get him next week is what we'll do here. I think it's too hard to pass up. And I think, assuming Hayes plays, I think it's a perfect way to just flip Hayes into Bruce, or even Dixon into Bruce, depending on which one looks like they're going to lose their spot. But I think Dixon is probably best 22 for the Eagles because he was getting named before all their COVID stuff, whereas Hayes is probably on the bubble every week. And Bruce, I think, is a very nice R2 option. Could be a 90 to 95 option. Sunday game, so we're only seeing ins now. You would think Sloan and Walker come into this team and Fogarty goes out. So you think Walker is named on field and Sloan is named on field. So some of these guys are going to miss. And I imagine it'll be Murphy with fitness. He hasn't been training fully. And the other one, Fogarty. So I think some guys will be stiff here, but Riley O'Brien's proven to be a good ruck option. Ben Keys, he was getting named in the forward line and playing a bit in the forward line. So I was hoping we were going to get some sneaky DPP with Ben Keys, but injuries just hasn't done it for him, and he's probably the Crows' best midfielder. So I don't think we'll be getting any DPP with Ben Keys. Potentially, though, we'll see a bit of DPP with Sloan, and if he can maintain fitness, because I think his final form is less centre bounces because you've got Laird, Keys, Schoenberg, and Matt Crouch to do the centre bounce work, along with guys like Cook, guys like Rochelle can jump in there, McHenry can get in there a little bit, Dawson attends him a fair bit as well. I think if you can do that, then Sloan doesn't have to attend as many centre bounces, and he can play more forward. And I think if we can get 2 or 3 weeks, but maybe Supercoach could be Jet Champion data could be generous and hand us a little forward tag on Rory Sloan and potentially be an option. I think he's good for 80, 90 points on a weekly basis. Not a lot here. Is Tex Wangan in his second game, I think, so we'll keep an eye on him. Nick Martin on the wing, get him in. Ridley, love to see him named here. Looks like he's back to some good scoring, so we're happy with that. Don't think there's too much else to worry about. A lot of people talk about Shield as an option to trade in. Don't mind it. I just think it's more reliable options. Not a lot named here. We're looking at Connor McDonald. We like that. Obviously, I got off Ward to get Cripps in. I don't regret it, but I'd rather have Ward in, but sometimes you have to. Finn McGuinness named low. He was probably the third of the 3 rookies that Hawthorn have, so bit of a concern that he's named so low down here, but we'll see what happens there. As well as, Hayes named quite late in the bench as well, so we could see Stevens and Hayes go this week. I think Hayes did enough to stay in, and just with the turnover rather, between Bruce and Hayes, it'd be great if we could get one more game out of Hayes. I think they're pushing too hard on Paddy Ryder, if I'm being totally honest with you, but they obviously want that experience around Max King, and they want more bigger bodies and bigger AFL experienced players, so that's fine. There is a chance that Wood goes out, but I think they like Wood again because he likes experience. Ratton's always been big on his experienced players. So no real, or Durden out through health and safety protocols. If you've still got him, you probably do have to keep holding him. He looks reliable, and he came straight back in when he was out last time, I thought too. So I wouldn't be too stressed about that. Although they are some pretty big ins, and I'd be maybe concerned that Durden doesn't come back. But he's made what has he done? 1 price increase, I think. Rankin, Farah Rosas, not much here to worry about. Wits at R1, Rowell and Anderson, Took Miller. I wouldn't be too concerned. Took Miller scored, 70 odd? 2 people had to tag this guy, and now people are saying things like, oh, has he been found out? Is tagging him the way to go? And you're dreaming if you think that at any point last year, teams didn't try to tag Took Miller to beat the Gold Coast Suns. Like, he can't be tagged. The only way that GWS were able to do it was to have 2 blokes on him, and one of them was one of the best taggers in recent memory, and the other one was a young guy who's a very good runner. I don't think every team's going to be committing 2 players to him. And Carlton don't really have any run with players. I don't think they want to use George Hewitt, who would be their run with player. I don't think they want to use him in that way because they're using him differently. Now, whether Fogarty comes in and does it, or I don't think he's got the fitness. I just Setterfield maybe. Perhaps that's why Kennedy's named there. I don't think they have the manpower to tag Took Miller. Not every team can tag this guy. He's a bull. He's a ball winner, and that's why he's so Supercoach friendly, because you can try to tag him. All that does is increase his score because he wins contested possessions. So that's the teams. We'll have to, not really anything too exciting. It should be a quiet week, and while I'm pretty big on not trading, I will do 2 trades this week, just because I can. And I think those trades are, cash generation is really worrying me now that I'm seeing these things here. I'm really scared of this. Hinge plays. He's just named on the bench, but he plays. There's no way they don't play him after the efforts he's been putting in. Yeah, so for me, I think I know it's risky and it seems like a crazy thing to do, but the way I see this trade is Chris for me has to go. He's not a top six defender. I don't think he was the correct call. I never liked the pick to begin with. I only went in because Lloyd was out and I didn't really care for Lloyd either. And I've seen enough. I've seen enough of this guy. And then the other trade, because of the money I'll get. Well, first of all, let's go. Hang on. So Hewitt in, and yeah, Hewitt selected as emergency. That's ridiculous, but he'll get named. That's why I'm not going to lock this trade in, just in case. But he's playing. Don't be stupid. And then that frees up 143k, and that's the easiest trade I'll ever make is Tim English to Wits. Now that might seem like point chasing, and with all due respect, it is point chasing, and I'm okay to admit that. The way I see it is that I've got two blokes here that I don't think anyone thinks Wits is a keeper. I think he was always a stopgate to get you to Gawn or whoever you wanted in R2 at the buys. I don't think anyone planned on holding Wits for 22 games. And Crisp is just not it for me. And I've always had this motto, for those that have been following the channel for a long time, I've always had this motto, you've got to have fun when playing Supercoach. Yeah, I play for overall, and you want to get your best team on the field, and you don't want to do troll picks, but you have to have fun. And my fun factor is degraded because of this bloke. Like every week I like watching Collingwood play. It's cool, but because they play exciting footy. But then I see Crisp, and he absolutely does my life in, and he ruins footy for me. So I get him out of my team. I can be happy. I can watch Collingwood play. I can be happy watching them playing an entertaining brand of footy. I can enjoy Dacos again. I just think for my mental well-being, I got to get rid of this bloke. So see you later. And then for Hewitt, and then on the flip side, Hewitt, absolutely a top six. Now we've seen that whole Carlton team together. Do I expect a 120 average from George Hewitt? Absolutely not. But he's a top six defender, and that's guaranteed. I think a forward line of Short, Hewitt, Ridley, Dawson, Stewart, and then one more, perhaps a DPP appears at some point, is a totally fine six. And I just don't think Crisp fits there at any point. And the way I see it is Hewitt's well on his way to 550, 600k, and I want to catch him before he does it. And then English is R1. I mean, he's the best scoring ruck in the AFL, and he's DPP. So what this allows us to do, it does take us to 30 trades, which is low, but it does get us two keepers, so it's not the worst. It's not the end of the world. What this does allow us to do, though, is next week when Bruce is on his bubble, flip English down into Hayes, feel a bit better about this area here, field English on field instead of perhaps, Butters, who's looking like trash at the moment, or, a Nick Martin or a Zeri or a Brody. Send Hayes out and get Bruce in R2. So we immediately improve if we start doing those type of things. Next things for me to address, and then we'll run it back for a couple of weeks. The next thing to address will be just making sure we've got good rookies in place of. I think we're just gonna have to leave Soligo here. I don't think there's any risk of him ever playing again. So he's a handy loop to have. I think we got to keep an eye on Stevens to someone. We got to keep an eye on this here, Hinge to Conning Gibcus. We do need to keep an eye on that. But outside of that, it's good. I won't hit that because I just want to make sure that Hewitt is confirmed. So I won't. That's the trade I'll be doing. And assuming Hewitt is named, I will do that. But there could be some late disaster going on with, if Hinge isn't named or something. But I've got the coverage. I'm light on this week, whatever. So cancel that off. What am I doing as far as captaincy and vice captaincy this week? Well, for me, because I've got Soligo, I can go all the way till Sunday for a loop. So I'm just going to go. Whereas some people, like I said, you could loop Neil. with Stevens. Just keep an eye, make sure he's not the sub. That's all. And I'll obviously have to be careful that Saligo's not the sub too. But I think so. Personally, I'm going to go Dunkley into Miller. I don't think he gets tagged, and I think against Cripps he just has a contested field day, and him and Cripps just pop off for pretty big scores because they're just contesting each other all game. And it's handy because the two best scorers in the league play in that last Sunday game. So worst case scenario, you just slap the C on one of these two, and you're going to end up with a nice score. Took averages what against Carlton? 132, 155, and 100. Very nice. Cripps, we're only going to see because he's historically hasn't been good, but less of a captain option there. Dunkley is the one. He just seems to be the dog scorer. They seem to play early games. I like it. Scored a 130 in 2019 and hasn't played him since. I'm feeling pretty good about that. And I'm just worried about McRae, whether he's carrying something or... and historically hasn't done huge numbers against Richmond. So they'd be the ones. What about Neil? Could we go Neil against Geelong? Not a chance. Not going to go anywhere near that. Oh, that's not to say it's wrong. I just don't like it. Who else? What other options do we have? Probably none others. I wouldn't be too fussed. I wouldn't be wanting to slap the C on anyone else. Steele's after our loophole. Steele could be one. Historically hasn't scored well against Hawthorn though. They're a bit more defensive minded. And then yeah. Oh, Grundy. Who we got? Oh, I don't mind the idea of Grundy actually. But he hasn't shown that he's got that ceiling that this year, so it's extremely risky. But Grundy rucking against a subpar West Coast team could be a really nice option. And yeah, I don't like the idea of getting rid of Crisp. I'm gonna look. It's gonna look bad, but you've got to look at that future state for me. So yeah, sure. It looks bad now, going down to Hewitt from Crisp, when Crisp is probably going to score 120 against the West Coast midfield. But it's the future game for me. I want to make up that money to get Hewitt. Hewitt is on his way to 600. I need Hewitt in. I don't trust Crisp as a reliable top 6 defender. And I can see it, and like I just stated, I can see a top 6 without him. I don't need him. Worst case, we can play Dacos here till late in the year. So I've waffled on about that too long now. Thanks for watching, guys. Oh, and I should have said it at the start of the video, but if you stuck around, thanks so much for 100 subscribers. We ticked over that this week. It's really cool. It's a really good milestone to have made. So thanks to everyone for subscribing and liking all my videos, and I really enjoy the comments that you guys put in. So I'm really thankful for that, and I don't know what milestone we'll try to aim for next. I don't know. 200. Whatever. Yeah, cheers. Have a good one.